Miguel, and I come from Coliseum College Prep Academy, and I'm going to be interviewing you, asking a couple of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to know, what is your relationship to the Homefulness movement?
I am a poverty scholar, criminalized, racialized, and always in struggle for $1. I'm all the people you don't want to see, never want to be. Look away from me. What you gonna do, arrest me? I'm in your city. I start with my slam bio like that because me and my mama were arrested on the street trying to basically be housed. It's an active crime in this stolen indigenous territory to be homeless or houseless, or as we say, unhoused, because private property is considered a thing to buy and sell. And so if you don't have the money, the resources, the bloodstained dollars to buy it, you are actually considered a criminal within the settler colonizer laws. So as a person who is the melanin challenged daughter of a strong woman of color who was on the street, in and out of foster homes as a child, unprotected, abused, and barely made it out alive. She then became homeless when I was 11, and we ended up on the street. And for the rest of my childhood, we were in and out of doorways, shelter beds, our car. And when I was 18, I got arrested and incarcerated for 3 months. And that's why I wear my jail suit, not because orange is cute or the new black, because it ain't, okay? But in honor of all the thousands of poor people, black and brown folks, who were on the other side of the razor wire plantations for the sole act of being poor, of being a person of color, and of dealing with this white supremacist nation they call America.
So my first question is, as a self-determined individual, member of the Homefulness movement, what is something you look forward to this movement or program?
You mean look forward in the future?
Yeah.
Well, we're just in the beginning stages of a landless peoples movement in the stolen territory called Wichine Ohlone land that they know of as Oakland. It's an intentionally blighted poor people of color neighborhood, deep east Oakland, as I think you guys know, being residents of the hood. You know, it didn't have to be like this. We as indigenous peoples had everything. This is pretty predominantly a black neighborhood, and poor people and people of color and black people are not in control of the resources in this neighborhood. We just suffered a fire down the street of 10 businesses that were mostly black owned. They're not rebuilt. That lot is staying empty. So one of the things that we try to do is create what we call a degentrification zone. We're trying to help people stay here. We're trying to help poor people, unhoused folks like myself, like my brother Mutiado, like Dee, like Mama Francis, Queen Nande, Lori, some of the folks you've already met. We're trying to actually change the dynamic of buying and selling of Mother Earth, and actually be able to stay here in our communities without the threat of displacement, of gentrification, of criminalization. So what we see in the future is more homefulness is built. This is just a template. This one being right here on a small stretch of Black Arthur. But I do want to say that we asked permission first of our Ohlone Nation. We asked elders of the Ohlone Nation, who are still very much alive, that's the first peoples of this land, if we could build here. And they said, not only could we do it, but they asked to be part of our movement, and we're honored and asked them to be part of our Elders Council. So how we see this in the future, more homefulnesses. We also want to build more houses here. We're trying to raise money to actually house more folks. We're trying to create the Sliding Scale Cafe, which is a micro-business, self-determined movement, so that we can actually feed our community, ourselves, and also create a small way of self-sustainment. And community gardens that's actually for the community, which we had before that we had to start building.
Okay. Another question is, do you consider yourself a self-determined person or individual?
Well, first of all, self-determination by design as a movement is really more about interdependence. It's about not about the individual. It's about, I'm okay if my brother's okay. I'm okay if my sister's okay. If they're not okay, then I'm not okay. And within a self-determined concept, we're actually trying to lift up as poor people of color, unhoused folks, disabled people, migrante folks, to actually help each other. That's why we started the school. A lot of our mamas are in struggle. A lot of our children are in struggle in the man's school. They were in detention. They were lost in a system that doesn't care about them. So all of the things that we do here are acts of self-determination, but they're very much related to the connection between each other. So no, I don't think I would call myself an individual self-determined person, but actually an interdependent self-determined person.
Right. So the last question is, what made you start this organization, this movement, and what is like your message you're trying to let others know? What is something you want other people to know about this issue or this inequality that's going on?
Well, first of all, homeless people aren't a tribe. A lot of young people need to hear that, because that's what we're taught. That you are okay if you're making a lot of paper, a lot of change, if you're, rocking all the new, corporate logos. That has nothing to do with who you are. And just because we don't have money to pay for rent, or we got caught up in some stuff and we can't even get another apartment because of BS like credit checks and all these ways that poor people are predated on, that has nothing to do with who you are as a person. So I want to take that lie out the equation. Just because we may or may not have a roof, because we may or may not have a home, it does not define us, right? Me and my mama started Poor Magazine along with other unhoused and poor and disabled folk. Not alone. This is not a bootstrap story. Me and my mom worked really hard and we started. No. Matter of fact, starting an organization for us was just a way to actually come together with folks and work in community to lift ourselves together out of poverty. And not with this idea that we're all going to be rich. No, we're all going to be okay because we have each other. So that was one of the original ideas, and it still remains. We started the notion of homefulness back when we were homeless, and homefulness is a homeless people's solution to homelessness. And that's really different, because usually it's governments and eugenicist-funded foundations that kick you a little bit of crumbs if you say the right things and if you do the grant dance. That's not how we are. What we are is actually revolutionaries that follow leaders like the Black Panther Liberation Party, like the Young Lords, the Boricua brothers and sisters like my mama from Philly, like Zapatistas in Chiapas, the Shack Dwellers Union in South Africa, the Landless Peoples Movement in Brazil, Move Africa, Long Live John Africa. What we're trying to do is actually just be about liberation and stop the white supremacist nation from predating on our folks. We are on Black Arthur right now. I just heard the story of Brother Donald, lived next door his whole life as a poor man, a man who walked softly on Mother Earth, like my mama used to say. He got Effed out of his apartment. They gave him $1,000 to leave. And as a humble brother, he just took it. He said, okay, I'll get a car and I'll move to Sacramento. I heard it was okay up there. He gets a G. He buys a hoopty. You all know what $1,000 is going to get you. He buys a hoopty. It breaks down on Highway 80. Doesn't even get to Sacramento. Fixes the car by any means necessary. Gets all the way to Sacramento. But up in Sacramento, he had to get up into some other stuff. Just to survive, he ended up dealing meth. This is an elder. This is a 62-year-old black Indian man, okay? He was, quote, illiterate from the colonizer's language. He'd been poor all his life. He just got arrested and all the stuff seized, caught up in some ridiculous drug ring that he wasn't even making any money on. Now he's going to do hard time in federal prison at 63 years old. That's what gentrification, that's what displacement, and that's what this white supremacist nation causes. We're trying to be about something different. Liberation, all power to the people.
Thank you.
All right?